Throughout history, we've heard of people who reached unimaginably advanced ages. One of them even lived to see their grandson's 61st birthday. Today, you're going to meet the oldest people in the world. Number 7. Elias Loaiza. This is the oldest Colombian. He was born on February 22, 1905, and he's 117 years old so far, has 7 children and 169 grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren. There are so many relatives that at his 116th birthday party, he couldn't recognize them all. All those descendants resulted from his relationship for more than 70 years with his wife, Marcelino Monsalve. She's still alive and more than 90 years old. Elias is still vigorous. He states that his secret is to stay away from bad habits, and he's only suffered from gastritis in his whole life. His long life didn't mean luxuries, as he was quite poor. When he married his wife, they all had to go back to work in the fields after the ceremony. Elias worked as a muleteer, who drove 10 mules packed with weight from town to town and ate the food his wife cooked for him until the political violence in Colombia forced him to be a food vendor for estate workers. Not long after, he bought a small plot and paid for it by working as a farm laborer from dawn to dusk. Now he lives peacefully on his land and follows a daily strict ritual of waking up, going to the door of his house, sitting in an armchair, drinking red wine, hearing mass, taking a shower with stored rainwater, and going to work on his plot. When he goes back home, he drinks coffee and prays the rosary with his wife. He's been doing the same thing for 40 years. Number 6. Sarah Knauss. She's also known as Sarah Clark for her maiden name and was born on September 24, 1880 in Hollywood in a mining town in Pennsylvania, since Los Angeles County didn't exist yet. She's the 3rd oldest duly documented person ever, and her date of birth has been corroborated in several censuses. Plus, according to her marriage certificate, dated August 28, 1901, she was 21 years old at the time, confirming her longevity. She married Abraham Knauss and had only one daughter, Catherine, who was born in 1903 and died in 2005 at age 101. Sarah spent her final years at Phoebe Home, a nursing home where she is fondly remembered by several residents as a kind and gentle old lady. In 1998, she was recognized as the world's oldest living person by Guinness World Records, and she had this merit until she died of natural causes on December 30th, 1999. When she was 119 years and 97 days old. She died abruptly while sitting in a chair just 33 hours before celebrating the start of the year 2000. Number 5. Kane Tanaka. Kane Tanaka is the world's oldest certified living human being. Although her recorded age indicates that she was born on January 2nd, 1903, so she would be 119 years old, she and her family say that the actual date is December 26, 1902, since her parents put off the birth certificate thinking that she would die soon due to her premature birth. In 1922, at the age of 19, she married her cousin Hideo Tanaka, and together they would run a noodle shop where they would also sell rice cakes. They had 2 sons and 2 daughters, but the girls died as babies. In 1937, the Japanese army recruited her husband, who was taken to China to fight for 2 years, and during World War II, one of her sons was captured by the Russians and spent 2 years in a prison camp in Siberia before returning. After the war, Kane converted to Christianity, influenced by the missionaries who came along with the Americans. Her husband died in 1993 at age 90. After 71 years of marriage, and in 2018, Kane decided to move to a nursing home. On January 2nd, 2022, she celebrated her 119th birthday. Currently, she can't speak but communicates through gestures, likes to solve number puzzles, and enjoys eating chocolate. Until a short time ago, she was in good health. Although at 90 she had to see a surgeon for cataracts, and at 103 she underwent surgery for colorectal cancer. In 2020 she had 5 grandchildren and 8 great-grandchildren. Her grandson Aiji is 62 years old. Just to give you an idea. Number 4. Marcelino Abad Tolentino. This 122-year-old man claims to have been born on April 5, 1900. and according to the latest reports, he's still alive. His home is located in the small district of Chalia in Peru, where envoys from the pension system of his country came to give him a monthly income. They found him living in a vegetable garden accompanied by 6 hens, 2 roosters, 2 dogs, and 3 cats. His poverty meant that he never saw a 50 Peruvian sol bill, so his pension had to be delivered in 10 Peruvian sol bills. As he didn't have a birth certificate, Marcelino also had no ID, never voted, and never went to school. The Peruvian vital statistics system created an extemporaneous birth certificate for him, based on his testimony and corroborated by the memories of other elderly people, which is why it's very difficult for his age to be recognized by international institutions. As a young man, he worked as a laborer on different farms and as a food vendor at festivals in several towns. Today, he's only 4 feet 3 inches tall and says a girl dumped him because he was too short. He doesn't hear, so he wants a hearing aid to communicate. Number 3. Jeanne Calment. Jeanne Calment was born on February 21, 1875, in Arles, France, and is the only person verified to be over 120 years old. She came from a long-lived family. Her father lived to be 93 years old and her brother to be 97 years old. At 21, she married her distant cousin, Fernand Calment, who had a business selling curtains. Jeanne belonged to the Southern French high society. She always had servants and didn't need to work. She gave birth to her only daughter in 1898, who sadly died at the age of 36. So she and her husband took care of their only grandson, Frederick. Jeanne's husband died a few years later. Jeanne was already 40 years old during World War I, and during World War II, she was forced to host some German soldiers in her house. In 1963, her grandson died. And in 1985, alone and at age 109, she moved into a nursing home where she followed a strict routine. She woke up at 6:45 a.m. and prayed at the window, did stretching exercises, washed with a damp cloth, and ate fruit salad. In the afternoon, she took a 2-hour nap and went to visit her elderly friends afterward. At night, she smoked a cigarette and had dinner at 10 p.m. In 1989, the centenary year of the move of painter Vincent van Gogh to his native Arles, Jeanne achieved worldwide fame by stating that she had met him in the store of her future husband. She described him as ugly, very unpleasant, and smelling of alcohol. Jeanne died of unspecified causes in 1997, when she was 122 years, 5 months, and 12 days old. Number 2. José Coelho de Souza. José Coelho de Souza, a native of Brazil, claimed to have been born on March 10, 1884, 4 years before the abolition of slavery in his country. He lived in a small town on the banks of a river in the state of Acre. Despite the fact that his ID indicated his date of birth, many researchers had second thoughts about his age because José's parents died when he was very young. So he was listed in the system by his older sister. Also, after searching a few files, researchers didn't find José's baptismal certificate in any records for 1884. Some think his documents were lost in the 1970s. However, José kept claiming his right to be one of the oldest men in the world until his last days. He died on August 24, 2017, noting that he had reached the age of 133. Number 1. Mbah Gotho. Mbah Gotho is considered by many to be the oldest man in the world. He was born on December 31, 1870, the same year that the Dutch colonial government abolished forced labor in Indonesia, his country. Throughout his life, he was a farmer and also fished in the river. Although his ID indicated his date of birth, international organizations such as the Guinness World Records didn't recognize him as the oldest person in the world because Indonesia only began to keep a record of births in the year 1900. So previous dates might not be reliable. Apart from his identification, there's no other way to confirm his age. Throughout his long life, Mbah Gotho suffered the loss of many loved ones. He had 4 wives. The last one died in 1988. And all his children have died, as well as his 10 siblings. His grandchildren took care of him, and his tombstone had been ready since 1992. He died on April 30th, 2017, when he was 146 years and 120 days old. he was buried next to the grave of one of his daughters, who had died at the age of 60. Bonus: Dhaqabo Ebba. In 2013, a reporter from Ethiopia claimed to have discovered the world's oldest living man. It was about the retired farmer Dhaqabo Ebba, who claimed to have memories of the Italian invasion of his country in 1895 and to be 160 years old. Dhaqabo says that when the Italians attacked, he had 2 wives and a son who was already taking care of the cattle. Despite what he says, there are no records to corroborate his age, nor his exact date of birth, which is sometime in 1853. There were also no elders to corroborate what he said because they had all died. He died on May 10, 2015, claiming to be 162 years old. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. I got much more content for you. See you in the next video.